So, let me ask you a question. Are you on the devil's path? That's the provocative question from a writer named Shay Feng. In this explainer, we're going to dive into his unique worldview, which is a pretty startling diagnosis for why we suffer, and, as he sees it, a very specific way out. The author, Xu Feng, actually kicks off his writing with this very question. And it's a great hook because, let's be honest, who hasn't felt these things? His point is that these universal feelings aren't just random. No, he suggests they're all symptoms of a specific system that's at play in the world. And what does he call this system? He calls it the Devil's Program. Yeah, you heard that right. According to him, this program is the fundamental reason for all human conflict, all our misery. So what on earth is he talking about? Okay, so the core idea is that humanity is being systematically tempted. This program uses all kinds of lures to trap us in a cycle where we're constantly competing and struggling against each other. And you know the most insidious part? A lot of the time, we're completely convinced we're doing the right thing while we're caught up in it. Now just look at this list of lures. It starts with the stuff you'd expect: money, fame, power. But then it gets really interesting. It includes things we're taught are virtues: our family, our country, even our religion. According to the author, all of these are just different kinds of bait. And this right here shows you just how radical this idea is. From this point of view, the moment you start fighting for your group, whether it's your family, your country, or your political party, against another group, you've just stepped onto the path. You're serving the program. But why would a program like this even exist? Well, the author doesn't see this as some simple battle between good and evil. Not at all. Instead, he presents it as a kind of cosmic necessity, something that's baked into the fundamental laws of the universe. This brings us to what he calls the law of duality. It's a pretty straightforward concept. For anything to exist, its opposite has to exist too, just to create balance. You can't have up without down, or light without dark. And in this worldview, you can't have heaven if you don't also have hell. So here's the crucial part. From this perspective, all the suffering caused by the devil's program isn't a cosmic mistake. It's actually an essential force for balance. Without all that negative energy, the author argues the universe would get all out of whack and basically lose its vitality. This is a total 180 on the traditional idea of the devil. In this story, he's not some rebel trying to overthrow the cosmic order. He's more like a vital, hardworking manager who's got this thankless job of keeping the whole system running. He has to guide souls to the lower realms, all to keep things in balance. And here's the final twist. If you think that serving this program, fighting for wealth or status, is going to earn you some kind of reward, you'd be wrong. The author claims that from the devil's perspective, you're just an ignorant fool for falling for all the lures in the first place. So this is all pretty abstract and cosmic, right? But how does it apply to us, right here, right now? Well, the text gives us a very practical self-check to help you figure out if you, personally, are walking this path. And the conditions are incredibly strict. You don't need a majority, not even close. According to the author, if even one single point on this list applies to you, then you're on the path. So, let's take a look. Okay, right away, this list mixes what most of us would call normal ambition with things that are obviously wrong. Working hard for your family is put on the same level as stealing and deceiving. Striving for status is right there with robbing and killing. The author is casting a really wide net here, suggesting this path isn't just for villains, but for almost anyone who's just trying. The list then gets into how we treat other people. It flags things like breaking promises or always making excuses, but it also points to something much more subtle, like controlling others in the name of love. You know, those things that might look like caring, but are really about a desire to possess someone. These are all signs you're serving the program. And finally, the checklist turns inward to our own emotional world. Feeling jealous, resentful, or constantly comparing yourself to others? All red flags. Even spreading gossip or just polluting people's minds with negativity is a sign you're on the path. It's not just about what you do, it's about what you feel. So, if you checked even one of those boxes, this is the author's urgent message for you. It's a wake-up call, a demand to change course immediately. But change to what? This brings us to the final part of this whole philosophy. After diagnosing the problem and explaining its cosmic roots, the author presents what he says is the one and only solution. And this is an extraordinary claim, stated right there in the text. The author Su Feng suggests that he is uniquely equipped with the knowledge to lead people out of the suffering caused by this devil's program. And the stakes are laid out pretty clearly. Follow him, and you get happiness. Reject him, and you're guaranteed to suffer. So, what is this core teaching he's offering? The crucial point is this. The author argues that the problem isn't the world. It's not other people, it's not your job, it's not your circumstances. The only problem is what he calls incorrect consciousness, your own internal state of mind. He gives a very clear example. Let's say you feel pain because someone you love is now with another person. He argues that pain doesn't come from what they did. It comes from your desire to possess them, from your jealousy. If you could change that consciousness and actually feel happy for them, the pain would just disappear, even though the external situation is exactly the same. And this is the ultimate takeaway from his solution. You can't find happiness by trying to change the world, by getting more money, or by trying to control other people. The only way forward is to fundamentally transform your own mind. And so, we'll end by turning his whole philosophy into one last question for you to think about. It really all boils down to this. When you feel pain, where do you look for the cause? Do you look outward, at the world, or do you look inward, at your own mind?